Hello everyone, the Breaking Bad Thomas fan here, and I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while now. Probably since I posted the Hero of the Rails iceberg video. And man, that video was posted like 2 freaking years ago. Now how about I stop rambling and let's get into it. Oh yes, good old Hero of the Rails. That one movie that seems to be a favorite throughout the fandom. You know, the first CGI Thomas movie. But y'all probably already knew that if you clicked on this. Now I'm here today to discuss my thoughts on Hero of the Rails and the problems I have with it. You're probably like, problems? What? Hero of the Rails has problems? Hashtag canceled on Twitter.com. But let me explain. But before I do, let me give you a plot summary of the film. Hero of the Rails starts off with the narrator telling us that it's summertime on Sodor. It cuts to Thomas filling up with water. Soon he can hear a whistle in the distance. As a streak of silver races past him, Thomas is surprised by this. After this, we get a montage of the silver engine racing past the other engines. The final engine he races past is Gordon. Later that day, Thomas and the other engines are at Knapford, being very puzzled who the silver engine was. James remarks, "He was big." Gordon says, "He was silver." Henry remarks, "He was very, very fast." Thomas says, "That must mean it's..." The silver engine is soon showed, and it is revealed to be Spencer. He tells the other engines he's there for the summer. Thomas asks him why he's there for the summer, and he tells them that the Duke and Duchess are building a new summer house. He explains it needs to be finished in time for the Duke and Duchess's holiday. After he says this, he starts to puff away, leaving the engines to talk about him being there for the whole summer. After Spencer begins to mock the Sodor engines, they talk about him that night in the sheds. Gordon explains he has taken over by express slide. Edward says he'll never have manners. Thomas finally says that Spencer is scary. The next day, Thomas is at the docks collecting a heavy flatbed of machinery. But to Thomas's dismay, Spencer is also there. He tells Thomas that he's a tiny toy tank engine, and if the Duke and Duchess had him, then the summer house would never be finished. Thomas asks, "What do you mean?" Spencer explains, "Thomas, you just can't pull heavy loads." This makes Thomas and the other engines upset. This gave Spencer the idea of a competition of strength. He tells Thomas to meet him at dawn at the shunting yard. Early the next morning in the cold light of dawn, Thomas and the other engines are waiting for Spencer. They can soon hear a whistle and Spencer appears. It wasn't very long until the tracks were cleared for Spencer and Thomas, and both of them were coupled up to their heavy loads. Edward tells them that they'll each take different tracks around the island and will only stop for coal and water. After Edward blows his whistle, both Thomas and Spencer race off, as the competition had began. Eventually, Thomas is puffing up a steep slope. He soon reaches the top. As he does, there's a clang and a bang. Soon, Thomas begins to speed up. His brakes are broken. He races for a junction where Spencer was waiting, and into some potato trucks. And after he hits a flatbed of jam barrels, he goes on a disused track. On this track, he discovers an engine called Hero. Hero later explains to Thomas that he was one of the first engines on Sodor. Now, this is one of my first problems with this movie.
I was the only engine on Sodor.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, technically, because it was Neil, but I doubt the Nitrogen Riders were freaking reading the Railway series. Also, before anyone comes at me, I guess technically Skarloey was as well, but yeah. Anyways, back to Hero of the Rails. Thomas promises to Hero that he'll look after him until Hero is fixed. He tells Hero that he's sure he could find the parts to fix him. Thomas tells him that he'll make him the master of the railway again. Oh, wait, I forgot to mention. Yeah, Hero's the master of the railway. apparently. It cuts to the Sodor Steamworks. Probably the coolest location in CGI, if you ask me. The narrator tells us that Thomas is having his brakes fixed. It is here we get introduced to a new guy called Victor. Also, I guess someone else. Thomas soon notices a flatbed with old parts. It has a piston cylinder on it. Thomas wonders if Victor will let him have it for Hero. He puffs away excited. That afternoon, Thomas is busy working on his branch line. Percy wants to hear all about the contest. Thomas explains to Percy that he has so much to do, and that he'll tell him about the contest later. Percy, being disappointed, says, "Bye then, Thomas." Soon, Thomas returns to the steamworks, seeing that it's very quiet. Because of this, he asks Victor what's gonna happen to that old cylinder over there. Victor tells Thomas that it's just taking up space. Thomas asks Victor if it's okay if he takes it off his buffers. Victor asks him, "Aren't you too busy, my friend?" Thomas tells Victor, "No, I could take it easily." Soon, Satan himself asks Thomas if he needs a helping hook. Thomas is like, Nah, man, I don't need your help at all. Yeah, I don't need your help. Yeah, I can do this myself." After this interaction, Thomas is coupled up to the flatbed and puffed away to Hero's hideout. He can soon hear the clatter of pistons pumping. He hears a whistle and realizes who it was, and quickly hides on a siding. The engine turns out to be Spencer. Thomas is relieved when Spencer leaves, and he soon arrives at Hero's hideout. Thomas's assistant engineer soon unloads the cylinder. Thomas tells Hero that he'll be back tomorrow. After Thomas leaves Hero's hideout, he notices that the summer house is very close to Hero's hideout, which meant Spencer would be there every day, which made Thomas think if Spencer found out about Hero, then he is sure to be scrapped. He realized that he had to be very careful. That night, Thomas told the other engines about his competition with Spencer. He was getting ready to tell them about Hero when Sir Topham had arrived, telling them that they'll have a busy day tomorrow, and told Thomas to not puff around the island pulling heavy loads. He told Thomas that he needs really useful engines, not broken ones. Now Thomas didn't dare tell the other engines about Hero. Sir Topham had spoken. No broken engines. The next day, Thomas told Percy about Hero. Now, if you've already watched the movie, you already know that the other engines tried to restore Hero, but it failed. Until Thomas told Sir Topham about Hero. And Hero got fixed for real this time. And he went back to his home island, Japan. Alright, now let's get on to the part that you guys all clicked on the video for. How I would change Hero of the Rails.
It's me, Bumper Films Coach 2006.
Bumper Film Coach? What? Where did you come from?
Well, I was waiting in the studio, waiting for my turn, like you said.
What turn?
The turn where I talk about how to fix a slightly overrated special.
Right, so what do you got in mind?
Well, I will explain it in a simple plot form. And if you're one of those whiny gits who think, Thomas was fine as the protagonist, you won't like this, so please go away. And okay, let's begin. Gordon is starting to become older and is learning to become a more respectful engine. And similar to Mr. Lambert from Breaking Bad, as the Breaking Bad Thomas fan would probably put it, Spencer has returned and is being a bit snobby. Gordon tries to put Spencer in his place and both agree to a race. The next morning, they wait at a shunting yard. Gordon feels a bit nervous, but Thomas, who remembers their alliance from down the mine, supports him. Spencer arrives and they start racing. Spencer is in the lead and mostly says something like, "Silly old A3, when will he learn?" Gordon is determined to beat his snobby cousin and goes faster and faster. He eventually reaches the top of Gordon's hill, but then races down the hill being unstoppable. He passes Spencer and some trucks, which makes him dirty. He eventually stops inside an old forest. He then hears an old voice saying, "Hello?" Gordon slowly puffs up towards the bushes and sees an old engine. The engine greets himself and tells him his name, which is Hero. Gordon asks about where he came from, and Hero tells him his story. Hero is from Japan. He was built in the 1930s and did mixed traffic work. In the 1940s, when World War II began, he and his driver fled Japan and went on a boat. They ended up on Sodor and went on the North Western Railway. It was night time and Hero went into an old forest. His driver went to get shelter, but he never returned. Hero stayed on the siding for days and he wasn't being discovered, until now. Gordon felt sorry for him and he remembered about what happened to his Doncaster siblings. And he said he wanted to help. However, Hero said he would be scrapped, so Gordon promised he wouldn't tell anyone. He said he would return and puffed away. Gordon meets Victor, who was in charge of the Sodor Craven Skate Works. Spencer arrives and Gordon says it was a good game. Spencer puffs away, and Gordon sees a flatbed of parts. It mostly happened the same, but with a few changes. Thomas helps Gordon with fixing Hero, as it keeps their alliance relevant. Spencer wants to scrap Hero because he thinks Hero is a war criminal considering World War II context. And as the Breaking Bad Thomas fan would put it, he would be similar to Hank from Breaking Bad. And lastly, this will be a big character arc for Gordon, as it finally shows him becoming a growing and wiser character, similar to the Railway series.
Thank you, Bumper Coach Films, but would you change the chase in any way, though?
Well, I'd say I would probably have it similar to when Lady in Magic Railroad is fixed and she puffs away. I was thinking maybe the chase could happen when Hero is actually fixed, and then when he puffs again, Spencer catches him, and then Spencer chases Gordon and Hero, but then Spencer crashes, and then the same thing happens where Spencer is rescued, but Gordon and Spencer try and forgive each other, and their rivalries come to a sort of end, but yeah, something like that.
Alright, Bumper Coach Films, it was nice having you. Thanks for explaining your interesting Hero of the Rails rewrite.
No problem. It was fun chatting about it.
So, yeah, pretty much. My final thoughts on Hero of the Rails. It's a pretty good movie, honestly. It's not the best in the world. It has its problems, but yeah. Now, cheerio, this is the Breaking Bad Thomas fan signing off.